Good evening and welcome. I am Amarachi Ubani. Tonight, Ogoni leaders frown at delay in kick-starting much publicized cleanup of their land. Project handlers announce plans to meet with UNEP officials on modalities for flag-off. Over 5,000 persons displaced by Boko Haram attacks returned from Cameroon following return of peace in Polka in Borno State. Some Lagos residents demand explanation from electricity distribution companies for overbilling and non-supply of prepaid meters. And US President Donald Trump continues attack on media, releases video depicting him wrestling a CNN logo. We begin tonight from Nigeria's oil-rich Niger Delta region, where Ogoni leaders have condemned what they call the slow approach to the cleanup of their land. They've been meeting with other concerned bodies and representatives of hydrocarbon pollution remediation program. The bodies saddled with the responsibility of executing the cleanup exercise. The meeting, which held in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, was intense, with various leaders expressing concerns over what they say is the seeming non-existence of the physical activity of the cleanup. Our correspondent Emmanuel Ire reports.
Go Kana, Tai and Eleme, with over 120 communities at the 4 local government areas in Ogoni land of Rivers State, pegged down by the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, also known as IPREP, for the cleanup of the land. Following concerns expressed by many that the whole exercise appeared to only exist on paper, with little or no motion in the actual implementation of the UNEP report. This meeting, at the instance of IPREP, of traditional rulers, representatives of the people in the State and National Assembly, and other concerned bodies, is to beam the searchlight on the issues and challenges of the cleanup exercise. The chairman of the event sets the ball rolling by calling on the participants to avoid the blame game.
It is legitimate for people to express concerns, but it is not quite appropriate to begin to play the blame game. So let us put behind us any blame game and attend to and listen to the project coordinator to brief us, and then we can now make our contributions.
But for some, time is of the essence, with no measurable work done.
If you see people complaining that the project is not going on, it's not out of place. So there is no way that the people will not complain because nothing has been done.
Others call for clarity and availability of information of what is being done.
You have to find ways of making sure that we have enough information to the community. What people want to see, bulldozers or trucks going around, they said, this is the cleaning going on. Some people have prepared their brooms. We want to join them to start cleaning and so on. And so when they are not saying that, they are saying, what exactly is happening?
I really want information. And as members of the legislature, a lot of people come. They assume that we have information. But unfortunately, we do not have.
For the man on the hot seat, the cooperation of everyone is needed for the cleanup exercise to be successful.
In another few weeks, we'll be sitting with UNEP, either here or in Geneva, to sit down and develop the entire roadmap for the remediation. They have the template, they have the technology, they have the network. They can source for us both local as well as international experts as we will need.
According to the UNEP report of 2011, $1 billion is required for the cleanup exercise in about 30 years. In 2017, many, however, wonder if a cost re-evaluation should be done, while also calling for transparent process in the execution of the program. The emergency response provision of potable water is also expected to be achieved in the coming months. Emmanuel Ire, Channels Television News.
Another issue of concern is the refugee challenge in the northeastern part of the country. So far, 5,000 persons have returned to Polka, the ancestral town from Cameroon, while many others are still being expected. Human rights groups operating in Borno State continue to provide life-saving assistance to the returnees as well as other displaced persons already living in the town.
Polka is one of the 7 wards in Goza local government of Borno State, where thousands of residents were forced out of their homes by the Boko Haram insurgents in the year 2014 when they seized Goza, declaring it as one of their caliphates. Others in their thousands crossed into neighboring Cameroon, where they found shelter. One of the returnees, who was kidnapped twice, narrates her story.
God brought soldiers to the room where we were locked up. And when they chased out the abductors, they freed us and we ran after them and came back home.
Life seemed to be gradually getting back to normal following the return of some of those who fled hostilities from here. They have, however, returned to makeshift homes where they depend on handouts to survive.
We contributed money and paid for our transport fare from Cameroon to Banki. From there, the government conveyed us to Polka. The truth is, right now, we cannot go to our farms in the bushes. We are just here waiting for whatever they offer us. There are still many Boko Haram insurgents around the farms.
The World Food Programme has been providing food items to the affected population in Polka since October last year when they began to return. According to officials, over 60,000 people are registered under the free feeding program, which includes returnees living in their personal homes as well as the homeless in camps.
We've had influx of returnees here, either from the operational areas on the Sambisa or from neighboring communities like the issue of the Ngoshe and all that.
Officials here say there is a big health challenge which they advise can be managed by redirecting such returnees with serious cases to the local government headquarters in Goza, where security is more stable.
Mainly cases for complicated pregnancies that need surgical intervention, and these cases are only referred to Maiduguri because it's Maiduguri that have the capacity. The challenge we have is that these cases needed to be referred through a military convoy because, as you know, the roads are not safe.
Aid agencies say they are expecting more refugees to arrive Banki in the coming weeks. It is expected that a good number of the newly arrived in Polka will move out of the camp after military screening and back to their homes they fled from in the last 3 years.
The anti-corruption crusade of the federal government is getting a boost with the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, writing an open letter to the Speaker of the House of Representatives to take all necessary measures to withdraw a proposed law to grant full and complete amnesty to suspected looters of the economy without delay. SERAP says it has information that the House of Representatives is pushing to pass an amnesty bill that would grant the suspected looters full and complete amnesty. Under the bill, suspected looters shall not be compelled by any authority to disclose the source of their looted funds. The proposed law would prevent any probe, inquiry or prosecution for high-profile cases of corruption. SERAP is concerned that the bill seeks to foreclose investigations of high-profile corruption cases and thus negates both Nigerians' rights to know the truth about what happened to their commonwealth and their right to justice and accountability. SERAP argues that the proposed bill is neither necessary to prevent corruption nor end impunity of perpetrators, which has allowed corruption in the country to become widespread and systemic. Meanwhile, the Southeast governors and some opinion leaders from the southeastern states, including the National Assembly members, are demanding the restructuring of Nigeria based on the ideals of fairness and equity. After a closed-door meeting in Enugu, the Southeast leaders also condemned hate speeches and declared their support for a system that guarantees oneness.
The Southeast governors arrive at the government house, Enugu, for what they call a crucial meeting to discuss matters of common interest and, by extension, how to get the nation out of the present economic recession. First to arrive, the Abia State governor, closely by his counterpart in Anambra State, and then the Imo governor, and were later joined in the conference hall of Enugu Government House by the host governor and the Ogoni State governor, who is the chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum. They take time to study the agenda of the day's meeting, after which they had meetings behind closed doors before the chairman read out the resolutions of the governors.
Igbo leaders lend their full support to the restructuring of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the platform of fairness and equity. We therefore call on the federal government and all Nigerian leaders to commence a process of dialogue among Nigerians on the modalities of achieving this pressing question within a reasonable time frame. Indigenes supports the report of the National Conference of 2014 and urge the federal government to set up structures that will enable the implementation of said within a reasonable time.
And on the recent threat by the Arewa Youth Forum to Igbos to vacate the northern part of Nigeria, the governors condemned hate speeches, given a strong backing to the indivisibility of Nigeria.
Igbo are in full support of a united Nigeria, where peace, love, fairness, justice, equity, and equality of opportunities are paramount, regardless of creed, ethnicity, gender, or political affiliation.
The governors all moved to another venue for the second part of the meeting, where they met with traditional rulers, religious leaders, and some former governors of the Southeast. The governors intimated the House of their resolution, which was later endorsed, and were encouraged to pursue in the interest of Igbo land.
The differences between the Benue State's Governor Samuel Otom and the former Commissioner of Police, Mr. Abubakar Sav, over alleged wrongful accusation is yet to be resolved. According to the Attorney General, Benue State Government, Michael Gusa, in one of the petitions to the presidency and anti-graft agencies, it is alleged that Governor Otom approved over 400 million naira for the purchase of Prado jeeps for government officials through his brother, Mike Otom, who runs a private business called Oracle Group, which the petitioner alleges is used as a front to divert Benue State public funds. Mr. Otom has given Mr. Sav conditions before the withdrawal of criminal charges against him for alleged wrongful petition against the governor.
The former Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Abubakar Sav, was bailed for arraignment at the Magistrate Court 1, Makurdi, on June the 12th, 2017, but failed to appear before the court. The Public Complaints Commission is trying to mediate in a case where Mr. Abubakar Sav, in a petition to the presidency, alleges that Governor Samuel Otom is culpable in diverting public funds of the Benue State government, an allegation Governor Otom denies, and to which he in turn filed criminal charges against Mr. Abubakar Sav for wrongful accusation.
Just 1 minute.
The peace meeting, led by the Chief Commissioner of the Public Complaints Commission, is aimed at avoiding the criminal prosecution of Mr. Abubakar Sav, July the 3rd, 2017. After about 7 hours of a closed-door meeting, the parties and the mediators emerged to speak with Channels Television.
We, as Public Complaints Commission, we don't go to court. We approach our issues through alternative dispute resolution, which is win-win type of discussion. And it is that type of approach that we've brought to His Excellency the Governor, and we are on the part of resolution.
The former police commissioner also says he came to make peace with the governor, who in turn listed key conditions to be met before he withdraws the criminal charges against Mr. Sav.
I came in with a delegation from the Public Complaints Commission to come and see the governor and to see to reconcile.
If the terms we have given for him to write back to those agencies and the presidency that he wrote, alleging those things, that those information he has confirmed were not true. Because for me, as a government that believes in transparency, if he asks me genuinely from government, information about government, I'm ready to give them. So I think we have resolved that matter, and once that is done, those cases will be withdrawn.
As it stands, the arraignment of Mr. Sav, July the 3rd, by the magistrate court will go on, pending the condition of withdrawing his corruption allegations against Governor Samuel Ortom.
In part two after the break, new INEC commissioners and the challenge of 2019 elections. That's in a moment. Please join us again.